James Mantilla. Uy, shout out sa mga natin yan avid viewers. Sila sa mga
Do they double down here to be like first and pick someone that's going to be a first champ, or do you think that they need someone?
Tnc has the better draft. I think they're going to be too hard to deal with later on. That's what I'm going for. I'm sticking with my gut.
And pretty easy to execute this. Fine.
I'll let you guys go and take it away for game number 1.
Thank you very much, Nat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are into our first game of the SCA qualifiers between SMG and TNC Predator. It is, of course, your casters MLP Dota and John X5. John, I love asking you this. How you doing, sir, before we do start game number 1 officially?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited. First game of the TI qualifiers. It's always exciting to see teams fighting for that big stage, and Southeast Asia is a mess, right? Like, we've got so many teams that deserve a shot towards TI, and here we are. You've got TNC playing, you've got Motivate Trust, you've got SMG, all these veteran players as well, especially on SMG's end, vying for that one slot. So a lot on the line. This is upper bracket, so teams aren't going to be eliminated yet, but you want that steady ride towards those finals. So every game counts, every win counts. And as we mentioned, SMG, they've got Moon on. He's got a lot to prove, as does everyone else on SMG. We're gonna have to see if they can carry through and prove their point.
Look at this though, John. SMG, a bit of a smoke going on here. So they placed the ward on the northern side of the river. Now they've smoked up. I think this is a bit of a surprise tactic. But can they get to the high ground of that right side triangle? They're going to try and sneak up from the backside. It's taking a little bit long though. I'm not sure if they're going to miss out on too many bounties, but no, there's no heroes around, so they're going to be able to steal one. Now, perhaps getting killed. Tim's going to run right into him. Light Strike Array, of course, is going to land a Tim's. He's going to get a nice Earth Spike. In fact, a bit of a Ravage there. But it looks like he is indeed set to die. Mid one, the first one to pick up first blood for game number 1. And I'd say there's no better way to start. SMG. Very little clever kind of smoke there to get this game 1 started.
That's what you like to see. You want to be aggressive with that axe. Mid one went for that level 1 battle hunger along with Raji's cold feet. A lot of BOTs that the Lion can't really run away from. And just having this nice early extra start for mid one allows him to control that lane a bit better. You can see Bot already copying some of that damage here. There's not too much Tims can do once they commit those spells onto the Brood. And it's going to take a few levels for the Broodmother to start to sustain herself here with a web spam, with the insatiable hunger trades. And even if you have that hunger up, not like you want to right-click an axe. So it's a bit tougher for the Brood to keep in touch there. And SMG, they're just playing this perfectly fine, as perfect as you'd want it to be.
Absolutely. That's kind of the reason why I was so impressed by the last big axe coming out from SMGs. The fact that it kind of answers the Broodmother so well, and see the pure damage that can fly out can be very effective. Although top lane looks like they are going to go after Gabby. Gabby already taking a lot of damage, and this is another thing we talked about during the drafting stage, John. The double stun lineup.
I think this is pretty stable for TNC. Once you hit level 3 on KP, it's going to be hard to zone him out, but at the same time, well, and the one thing that the Kunkka has a little bit better here is that dip into that Anthem jungle. High burners a little bit spell.
Arthur looks like he's going to be in the spot of danger. Does end up going down, so Boomy and Gabby will get a bit of revenge in that top lane, and of course he didn't really have the help of KP around as he was farming at the tier 1 tower, but
Yeah, Chris, there's not much Alina can really do. The build's up there for the Spectre, considering that early death. I think the big worry for SMG still lies in that mid we were talking about. Like Moon off to the slower start, he's forced to call for a rotation from Afu to stabilize the lane. It's a lot of commitment to hold down that mid, and this benefits RML. Like, he might be lagging a bit behind in EXP, but he's got easier jungle access, he's got a massive spike in delaying fights with the Ghost Ship. For Moon, once he hits 6, 7, he needs to start looking for his towers, he needs to call his supports forward to get that objective, and it's much more sensitive for me to his spikes compared to RML.
it is. A lot of support kind of rotating across the map right now. Rogi make the rotation over into that dire triangle, get some wards down. Carmel's going to make his rotation up to try and secure the bounty, but Rogi's going to stick around and try to be as annoying as humanly possible. There's this DP lane getting slightly harder as time goes on here for Armel, but he's doing just fine in terms of CS at the very least, and that might be all that matters as Rogi around actually stack the camp for Armel. Interestingly enough, as now Arfu shows up. It's the Light Strike Array, but there's no follow-up to it. Rogi's going to try and run down, but it's going to really not lead to much. Now mid one will make the rotation up on the axe. He'll start taking the stacks away from the side of TNC. So stacking in the opposing jungle, but mid one was already kind of running up to take these stacks away. And I like what I'm seeing from SMG, John.
Yeah, it's just really good movement out. This lines up with the level 6 of Moon as well, so they're going for a push and a fight in mid.
Cold feet, not going to lock him in mid one. He'll get the call off. He's got the conqueror, and now with the Light Striker Ray, they'll control him up and they'll dunk him down. Another great pick up there for mid one, and he's right back to farming. Meanwhile, the rest of SMG, they just push in the mid tier 1 tower. This is really clean play out from SMG. Try to go onto Arfu. Well, now it's going to show off for KB. He does get the stun off Arfu. He has the follow up, and that'll be a dead Tims. It lands for KP. He's a tanky boy. Just going to run away, and while they don't really take down the top tier 1, they've done a lot of damage. Come back at any time to get the job done. There's really no rush here for SMG.
They've still got Dragon Form for a little bit longer. Tower's down to 560 HP. They're going to take a couple of pokes to take out, and
As time goes on here for Melbourne. Eventually goes down a bomb, aim to kill the Broodmother, and That's a very important kill to get though. Bok, Ice Blast is gonna land. Oh, he's gone. That is so depressing.
Alright.
That is depressing.
He was way too greedy, Bach, going back to that camp, not respecting the fact that there's an AA, they know where he was, blast across the map, nice and easy kill for SMG to sort of even it out, and they've gotten space for themselves to clean up that top tower. Top tier 1 faults, they find a trade, a core for a core in the bottom lane. Not great feeling when you lose your axe for a Brood, but the Brood is also the only hero on TNC that's doing really well. It's only Bach up there.
Quite is there to follow up, but Rogi's not dying. The Horn's in, they're trying to get the job done, but now mid-one shows up Rogi. He will eventually die. Now can they keep going? They'll try onto our food, but Nina is going to be just fine as TNC. Will take the position 5 AA life, and that'll be about it. They back off. Opposed to TNC, they've just got to take what they can get right now. That'll be 1 kill for them. That'll be enough.
Yeah, it's not the biggest kill. They had to commit haunt for that on Gabby, and he had to bail out because he got hit by Ice Blast, so it's not the ideal set of kills for GNC, but they are trying to get that space. That board is still not too wildly apart, though.
Big trouble. Oh, we have a disconnection. KP might have 10 ping, John, but he's back in Southeast Asia, so the DCs have started again for him.
You need to be
Welcome back home, sir. Unfortunately for Moon right now, it's a bit of an awkward scenario, John. He's being chased down by spiders, which, again, does happen quite a lot from where I'm from, and it's going to be a very scary kind of position here for Moon. You'll have our full round. We've also got a TP coming in from Rogi, but perhaps they can get another stun off.
Aún no ha salido el sol. Pero bueno, recordad que estamos cubriendo.
É que aí o mundo tomou X. Ele vai voltar. Tá vendo navio fantasma, X na cabeça.
Moon taking all the damage and will die. No problem for the side of TNC. In fact, they want to go for a bit more, but KP and having a few issues here on.
TNC with that kill on Moon is pretty good. Like, that's their first real big core kill out of the axe trade with their Broodmother. So this is going to be helpful for them. It can line up for a bit of a shove mid with a half minute where you don't have to worry about that exorcism. You don't have to worry about the Crypt Swarm clearing out all those spiderlings, which is really one factor from SMG we didn't quite talk about. Like, Broodmother came in as a sneaky pick in that draft, but they already had Dragon Slave from Food, from the Lina. They've had $3K net worth, lagging behind even Moon on the DP at 4.6, bottom of all the cores. It's going to take a they've still got
I like what I'm. This time goes on here for Melbourne.
it's just expressive. So it's like surprise, anger, excitement. You can tell, wow, you're doing good, or you're surprised and stuff. I don't know. I'm not very good with Singlish, even though I stayed there for 8 years. But yeah, it's like yeah, it's just an expressive word. It doesn't really hold an inherent meaning. It's about the context. And in SMGs, it sounds like it's more like something bad is happening in the game. You know, that's when you tend to repeat it. Wala, wala, wala. You know, you're being dived maybe or something. I know, it's super.
Yang price, oh. Bila sa app. Ako ano? Ano nga sa what's tarungan ba? So may ko ani mo. Barto set. Barto kamot. Plaster sa napagka sa manay para magmalilimos ana og kuan. Tarong ako si Barto na iyang price. Barto set.
But John, that does give me plenty of time, and I don't think this would be an SEA cast without me asking this. Have you had merienda, sir? Have we filled up before we started the cast?
Yeah, I had some breakfast. I have a can of mate mate by my side. I really do enjoy it though. Like it's nice and refreshing. Good sip in the morning. Nice tea. Didn't have merienda yet. That's down the line, Mike, and it's an afternoon thing. You need to stop asking me about it. It's so weird because it's like, you know, it's like an afternoon meal at 3 o'clock. Like in Singapore, that would be like high tea. It's like a
hold on.
After lunch.
You told me that you eat merienda all the time. Like it's just an excuse to eat, and now you're telling me there's a time frame.
Fair enough. No, like there are different meriendas. There's merienda cena. I think there's something you call something in the morning. I forget. I haven't had a big meal yet. I will say I did have some great Indian food yesterday, and you know I lived 8 years in Singapore. I ate a lot of Indian food. I've been looking for it in my city, in Davao. We have a lot of Indian students here, which is great. But I haven't found a good restaurant. I finally found one. We ordered like a biryani, shrimp biryani. We had some.
Initiate, tapos follow up. Demon.
Oh, kaila ko ana, kaubalos trabaho sa una.
Di mo galing.
Shout out ko ni RG Boss gatanog hap.
It makes you feel happy, Mike, even for just a moment.
You make me feel happy, John. Thank you for that. SMG, looks like we do have the full reconnect. Good to know the KP's back on 10 ping, by the way. It really is hard playing from Australia, John. You know, people say, oh, it's just 100 ping, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it is when you're on this kind of scale of games where you're playing the best teams in the world and every kind of split second matters. Tnc gonna head into that mid-tier 1 tower now.
Lively now. Your admiral is on board.
A slow chip there from Bok. Consider the fact that Arnold right now, he does not have the boat, you don't have the finger from Tim's. You don't really have your big team fight spells out for the side of TNC. You don't really have the haunt either in case Gabby wanted to kind of join in here. But it seems that they are slowly getting away with the chipping of this T1. However, mid-1, nice call away onto the Spiderlings and at least clear some of those up from Bok. And we'll go ahead and protect that mid-tier 1, and I think that is very important, right? Because you let that mid-tier 1 go on the side of SMG and suddenly the map evens out, and TNC are going to be able to create a lot more space for Gabby on that Spectre. So definitely a lot of emphasis here from SMG to not allow it to go down.
Now. Your admiral is on board.
They still managed to drag like 4 heroes mid for defense, so you have a pretty free amount of space there for Gabby to just take that bot lane, dip into the triangle, keep farming up. The Echo Saber's flying out soon, so that's going to be really helpful for Gabby to look for these haunt opportunities. What SMG need to do
now with the boat out, on to move. He's trying to smooth side his way to victory, but it's not looking great for him as the Sunray does fly in as well from Boomy.
Step
Well, it was
left.
going to be a really
Your
nice
admiral is on
initiation, but Armel, he just took no damage. In fact, the pipe flew out from block, but I'm not sure if that was what it was. It felt like the Laguna did nothing.
Yeah, he's just really beefy right now on that Kunkka. Not quite the target you want to jump first. We had a backup there as well. The big thing there for TNC was the kill went towards Gabi. He just picked up the Echo Saber, he TP'd in for that fight. He managed just to get that kill off the bat, and he didn't have to use Haunt because it was on cooldown. So now TNC could just wait out the next boat, wait out the next egg if they need it, look for another Haunt opportunity, jump back in, and this is where it gets a bit shaky for SMG. They need to find more objectives. They need to find more pickoffs. This blink on KP is big, but you can't really jump a Kunkka. Your Lina is still stuck at level 6. Level 1 Laguna, level 2 Dragon Slave. The magic burst on that Lina alone is not going to be enough. You need more backup to nuke her down, and the DP just wasn't quite in the right position. Exorcism is gone for now. It's going to be up in half a minute. They could look for a push off the back of that, but TNT are already taking over that bot jungle.
You just saw them, sir. They're going to run right into the DP, and Ice Blaster's there, but it won't matter because the finger is out from Tim's.
Your admiral is on
Mistake
board.
out from the CEO, John. They just placed the ward down, and it was de-warded by Tim's and Box. And he just kept going forward for the creep, so it does cost them in the end, and these are the kind of mistakes you don't really want to see from SMG. We talked about it. You're up against the Spectre. You've got to be careful. She is a late game powerhouse. That top lane now, KB's been caught out. X-Boat is there. Mel will lock him down, but is it going to be long enough? Because Gabby's in now. Tips, he'll turn around with an Earth Spike out, and the Sunray. Going to be another kill out for Gabby. Finds another last hit. Going to be more bad news for the side of SMG.
It's not quite lining up for SMG. They're trying to split push for the DK. They're not grouping up as 4 or 5. That full push potential coming out. They're being punished for that quite nicely by TNC. They play around this Haunt really well in the Spectre. They've been really disciplined in handing those last hits off towards Gabby as well. They're still building up though. Mid one's still top of the last of the network board. He's got the Manta style up, so you can send illusions out to deep waves. They'll look for Blink next and probably looking for that shard once you hit the 20-minute mark. So there are still some good timings here for SMG. It's just that they're giving a lot more towards DNC than you'd expect them to. Like Bob's at the point where he's pretty scary on this route and jumping KP.
Yeah, KP, he's not really that tanky anymore. Not with that Spirit Vessel out. Bob is going to take care of it. In fact, Armel, he'll take the kill with the Tidebringer hit. Spirit Vessel going to be a real big problem for the side of SMG now, as you're just not going to feel quite as tanky. And I hate to keep repeating myself, John, but this is not what you wanted to see from SMG at this point, because Gabby, on that Spectre, is able to start catching up quite nicely. You see Bok down that bot side of the map, he's just taking the bottom T2 tower. It's like the rest of SMG not really going to be around to try and defend this. You've got Rogi, but it's not going to be enough. It's just the position 5 AA.
Dire are scanning.
KP mid one in instead to try and just kind of spin his way, defending this T2 tower. Bok's going to stick around though. He's not afraid. In fact, Armel and Boomy's around now. In fact, top lane in Tims, he's been caught out. He'll get dropped, and there'll be one TP coming in from Boomy. That's about it. As bottom side, Rogi now, he's been caught on the AA. Birds are flying out. And Trade Heroes here as position 5's just dropping across the map. Offside, AP and Boomy staring each other down right now.
Dire's top tower
He's about to find Boomy. Should have seen his courier. Icarus dive out the other way. Now the Sunray, but KP, he'll blink away. Towards the left is Armel. Have a gander through the tree line with that torrent, but we'll find nothing. SMG, they all back out.
It's the safe play for them. They can't really go for the chip damage on that tier 2. Have to admit that the wards on the backline here from SMG are pretty good in keeping track for his TP rotations, but there's already a sentry here from TNC, so once they walk into vision range, they're not going to have that piece of advantage anymore, and they do take it out. So the next time they try to make that move on SMG, it's going to be a bit rocky. So they are smoked up here going into the triangle.
They ran right into the Spectral Dagger though. That was very unfortunate timing, and now Tim's a nice X out on the mid one. Can he control him?
Man.
The core won't land either. In fact, Starfoo, he's starting to spiraling as they're trying to fight, and now the Hawks in. They'll get the mission out, they want to stop the team fight. Mid one, he's been cornered on the X, and he's going to drop first. Rogi, he's trapped between a rock and a hard place. He'll die. Spectral Dagger, but
Radiant's bottom
even then
tower
just
is
unable to
under
catch
attack.
out Tims of the Lion. Not going to feel very good for them, and it's going to be another successful team fight for the side of TNC.
Yeah, it's rough now for SMG. It's 4K lead for TNC. Look at how far Gabby's climbed up. 8.7k net worth, above Moon,
Radiant's
above
bottom
KP
tower
now. He
has
was so
fallen.
far behind in that Spectre before. Now he's on a rise. The only real farm here you have on SMG is that Axe, and it all boils down to the fact that they haven't been able to push. They've got a DP, they've got the DK, they've got the Lina who can right-click as well. They haven't been able to focus in on a tier 2, and every single time they've been very hesitant. They want to drop multiple wards behind, they want to find where